YouTubers. This is Karma Divinorum from Karma Divinorum's Emporium YouTube channel. Today we are going to be talking about controlled chaos versus chaos controlled. Now, the way I see it is there is a big difference. Controlled chaos is something more like a democracy, whereas chaos controlled is something more along the lines of anarchy. Chaos controlled, as an anarchist point of view, is that we are chaos. We are the chaos controlled. What's happening around us isn't chaotic. It's happening so much that there's a constant stir, cosmologically speaking, all the way down to the microscopic and including the macroscopic. The way we look at controlled chaos, on the other hand, versus chaos controlled, is that everything around us is chaos and we must control it. And that's why we have strayed so far from living off the land, and we have engineered so many feats of technology just to control what we call chaos in this world. Whereas the anarchist point of view is, as chaos controlled, we are the controlled chaos. So it is still a democracy-based system. It's just not controlled chaos. Now, I'd like to split this down the middle and dive a little bit deeper into the pros and cons of each side. I'd also like to add that the controlled chaos type group that would sort of type under a democracy has sort of a motto that our weakness is our strength, right? And the chaos control ideology or groupings would have the ideology that all is weak. All is weak. It doesn't matter. There's always something bigger, right? That type of mindset. To start with the controlled chaos side, democracy, with the pros and cons. The pros are they are organized, they're methodical, they're popular, at least somewhat, and they are diverse. These are all good things. Now, the cons, as opposed to the pros, for organized, it's easy to sabotage. Methodical, stops and goes too often. Popular, it's a niche popularity. Diverse, also divided. So those are the four main concepts surrounding the pros and cons of controlled chaos versus chaos controlled, or the anarchy side of things. With the pros, they have a powerful message. It is thought out. It has insights. It is insightful. And they as well are diverse. Now, the cons, although it is a powerful message, they have weak support. It is thought out, but not listened to by the vast majority. It is insightful, but to most it is not obvious how. I would even say to some of them. They are diverse, but it is a very concentrated numbers of them. They are in dwindling numbers at all times. In the end, I would have to say that chaos controlled withstands the test based on the pros and cons of either. In summary, it essentially still values a democracy-based system, but with independent values. In the end, it is more diverse than the other one. So, to break that down perhaps a little for you guys, they still support a wider background of people. Our history is not as important to a chaos controlled group compared to a controlled chaos group, if that makes any sense. It should, because controlled chaos looks at everything as chaos. So if you are not completely accepted by that group, then you become a part of that chaos to control in their eyes. Whereas with the chaos controlled side of things, we are the chaos, self-admittedly. We control ourselves, but there is no chaos to control in terms of controlled chaos. But the fact that we are chaos and we control ourselves, we are controlled chaos all the same. So there's an entire duality structure to the anarchism versus the democracy. There are more widely acceptable options under an anarchist system versus very, very rigid and closed in options with a democracy. And like I stated, it still values a democracy-based system. So it has the best of both worlds. The pros and cons of democracy are also the pros and cons of anarchy. Whereas the pros and cons of anarchy withstand the test versus the pros and cons of democracy. Like, democracy cannot hold up to anarchy. I think this is an important message for people to tune into and hear from me, because we're going in a direction that everything is leading to a chaos-based structure, and we are going to have to determine for ourselves once and for all whether we are going to control that chaos ourselves, or if we are the cause of that chaos and we are going to start controlling ourselves. This is a very psychological issue here. It's not a mentality based, it's not even so much about our beliefs or what we've been doing or anything like that. It's how we perceive it. Our perceptions are different than our beliefs. Our perceptions drive our subconscious like inhibitions of our beliefs, so you might look out the window and see somebody, like, I don't know, jacking a car or something, and your perception of that is going to be according to what you know about the law, what you know about, like, insurance and things like that, and also, like, you're going to be wondering how is the other person going to respond when they find out their car's been damaged or stolen or just like looted if it was left unlocked or something, so that those are altered by your perceptions. And if your perception is that all is chaos and we need to control the chaos, and under a controlled chaos structure, then you would be yourself required to go and stop that carjacking. Whereas under an anarchist system, a car being jacked would be the challenge of the person whose car that is. So you really have to maintain a steady level of common sense under an anarchist system, and practicality. There's a whole lot more practicality to an anarchist system because it's not feeding a corporate network. It's just feeding a local network, right? And the larger you grow that local network, it's instantaneous, the results, right? Whereas with a democracy, they are growing their network, but it's putting everything farther and farther and farther apart to actually maintain everything. Like, if a person has a heart attack, an ambulance has to get across 5 kilometers of the city to bring a patient to a hospital, whereas under an anarchist system, we'd be able to find sources to teach ourselves medical understandings, and there would be many more people capable of taking care of the sick and wounded without need for intervention from hospitals and everything like that. People tend to look at anarchy as kind of like a cold, heartless approach to everybody. That there's no compassion from an anarchist, so to speak, like no empathy from an anarchist, but it's more so a survival of the fittest mind. Like, just what did the fries say to the tomatoes? Ketchup, right? Like something like that. Like, just it's that playful. It's not um it's not competition. It's not, because the thing is, democracy is a competition. Democracy has all these steps for even being a candidate, let alone being elected. Like, anarchy will only survive under a democratic type system, but the idea of it adhering to that constantly is ridiculous. They use it more like a tool for a precise incision, and then they open up a small whirlpool of issues and they spread it out and then they close it up again in its rightful form, and then everything just stays away that way, right? Like, that's and I think I said democratic, I meant to say democracy. um but like, a democracy based system would, like, keep everything opened up, and it would be getting in the way with its circulation process of everybody. And anarchy is a closed circuit system, and it's just precise. Every day is this day. You just do what you do, right? You just do what you do. There's no need for a president. There's no need for a prime minister. There's no need for a king, queen, whatever. Like, there could still be a king and a queen. There could still be a president and all that, but it's not the same. It wouldn't be the same. It would just be like, those people would be outcasts, right? Like, that's the opposing side of the coin, is like, anybody that would still be of the democracy only based system would become an outcast to the anarchist system. But it's the exact same way with the democracy based system, is that anarchy is an outcast to the democracy based system. So really, they are just opposing sides of the same coin, and anarchy happens to be the top of that coin, right? So I hope this brought some attention to your mind about certain concepts that are out there that aren't commonly spoken about, and enjoy YouTube.